A poor teenager helped save the life of a millionaire's wife, but when asked what he wanted in return, his answer left everyone in tears. Tyson woke up to the loud buzzing of his old alarm clock. He sat up in his small bed, rubbing his eyes, and glanced at the eviction notice still lying on the kitchen table. He wished he could tear it up, but that wouldn't change anything. His mom had left for work already, another early shift at the diner. Tyson pulled on his cleanest shirt, grabbed his books, and headed out the door. Outside, the morning air was fresh, but the neighborhood had its usual look. Peeling paint on the buildings, a few dogs barking from behind fences. Tyson walked to school, his steps brisk. He passed through the upscale neighborhood as usual, the one where the buildings seemed to touch the sky. He couldn't help but look up at them. He wondered how it would feel to live somewhere so big. A sleek black car pulled out from one of the lots. Tyson moved a bit faster, feeling small in its shadow. His sneakers hit the pavement steadily, taking him past the Collins Enterprise building, a giant tower of glass. The doors opened, letting a rush of cool air spill out for a moment. Tyson kept walking, his eyes just glancing over the suited men and women bustling in and out, too busy to notice someone like him. After dropping off a book at the public library, he stuffed another one in his backpack and carried on toward school. He had just crossed the street, stepping onto the sidewalk by Collins Enterprise again, when something caught his eye. There was a woman, and she was pregnant. He watched as she tried to balance herself, her knees shaking slightly. Tyson's eyes narrowed. She didn't look okay. Her face was flushed, and she was holding her belly. He thought maybe someone would help her, but everyone just walked past. Some glanced, but kept going, caught up in their own lives. He hesitated for a second, his feet almost glued to the ground. His mom always told him to be careful not to get into trouble, especially in this part of town. But something in him told him to move. Without thinking, Tyson took a step forward, then another, and then he was running. Hey, are you okay?" he called out as he approached her. The woman looked at him, her eyes wide, and then she stumbled. Tyson moved faster. He caught her arm just as her legs buckled. She was falling, but he got there just in time. He kneeled with her, trying to keep her steady. The ground was hot against his jeans, but he didn't let go. "Thank you," she said, her voice strained, barely a whisper. She was breathing hard, and he could see sweat on her forehead. "Just stay still, okay? I think you need help," Tyson said, trying to keep his voice calm. People started to slow down, watching. Tyson noticed their stares. He felt his heart pound, not just from the effort of running, but because of how everyone was looking at him. A couple of people whispered. One guy even frowned, like Tyson was doing something wrong. "Do you need water?" or Tyson began to ask, but the woman winced, bending forward more suddenly. From the corner of his eye, he saw a security guard coming over from the building entrance. The guard's eyes were on Tyson, suspicious. The man walked faster, his hand resting near the radio on his belt. "Hey!" the guard called out sharply. Tyson swallowed hard. He didn't move, didn't dare to let go of the woman. She was clutching his arm now, and she looked scared. He didn't want her to fall. He didn't want to let her down. But the guard's eyes were full of doubt. "I'm helping her," Tyson shouted, his voice cracking a bit. He held up his free hand as the guard got closer. "She's not okay." Before the guard could respond, another voice cut through the commotion. "Let him through." It was loud, commanding. Tyson turned his head and saw a man in a suit. He looked important. He was standing on the stairs of the building. The guard stopped, hesitated, then nodded and backed off a little. "Just keep her steady, son," the man said, making his way down towards them. Tyson could see the man's face clearer now, tight with concern, his eyes locked on the woman. Tyson realized it must be her husband. He tightened his grip on her arm, hoping she wouldn't slip. "It's okay," Tyson said quietly, more to himself than anyone else, his breathing starting to even out just a little. His knees were beginning to ache against the hard ground, but he didn't move. "Sir," Tyson heard someone from behind him, "an ambulance is on the way." The man in the suit, Mr. Collins, Tyson guessed, reached them and knelt beside his wife. He touched her shoulder, like, "Anna, I'm here," he said softly. She looked up at him, tears forming in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered again, this time to Tyson, her grip relaxing slightly. Mr. Collins looked at Tyson, then his expression softening. You saved her. What's your name?" "Tyson," he said. Almost too quietly, Mr. Collins nodded, glancing at his wife before looking back at Tyson. "Listen, I can't thank you enough. Is there anything I can do for you? Anything at all?" Tyson blinked. His mouth opened, but no words came out. He didn't know what to say. He had never been in a position like this before, someone important asking him what he wanted. He hesitated, looking at Mr. Collins, then at the crowd around them, and finally down at Mrs. Collins, whose breathing was beginning to steady. What could he ask for? The thoughts rushed through his mind, but he felt stuck, unable to voice anything. All he knew was he was glad she was okay. That was enough, wasn't it? The sound of sirens echoed in the distance, getting closer, and Tyson took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything all at once. Tyson kept holding on to Mrs. Collins, his knees on the rough. He looked up, seeing the ambulance turn the corner, its red and blue lights flashing. The siren blared, drowning out the murmurs of the gathering crowd. The people around them were still watching, a mix of curiosity and concern on their faces. Tyson just focused on Mrs. Collins. She looked like she was in pain, her breathing shallow, but she was trying to stay calm. The ambulance stopped, and two paramedics rushed out, wheeling a stretcher towards them. Mr. Collins stood up, waving them over. Tyson stepped back a little, finally releasing his grip on her. One of the paramedics, a tall man with a stern face, looked at Tyson, then nodded, as if to say, "Good job." Tyson felt a small relief at that, but the tension still gripped his chest. "Let's get her on the stretcher," the paramedic said, guiding Mrs. Collins with care. Tyson watched as they helped her lie down, strapping her in. Mr. Collins stayed by her, his face filled with worry. "Is she going to be okay?" Tyson found himself asking, his voice barely audible. Mr. Collins glanced back at him, then gave a tight nod. "She will, thanks to you." His voice was sincere, but his eyes were distant, focused on his wife. The paramedics began wheeling her towards the ambulance, and Mr. Collins turned back to Tyson. He took a deep breath and stepped closer. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out a business card and held it out to Tyson. "Take this," Mr. Collins said, his voice a little hoarse. "Call me, please. I want to do something for you. You've done more for my family than you could possibly know." Hey kid, let's dive deeper into this complex concept. Tyson looked at the card. It had a logo at the top, Collins Enterprise, and Mr. Collins's name and number below. Tyson hesitated, then took it with trembling fingers. "Thank you," he said, unsure of what else to say. The card felt heavy, like it was worth a lot more than just a piece of paper. Mr. Collins nodded, then hurried to the ambulance. He climbed in and they closed the doors. Tyson stood there watching as the ambulance pulled away, the siren fading into the distance. He was suddenly aware of how quiet it was. The crowd that had gathered began to disperse, people moving along as if nothing had happened. Tyson looked around. The security guard was still there, a little further back, his arms crossed. He wasn't glaring at Tyson anymore, just watching. Tyson didn't know what to make of it, so he turned away, slipping the business card into his pocket. He picked up his backpack, brushing off the dirt, and slung it over his shoulder. "Hey kid," a voice called. Tyson looked up. It was the security guard, walking towards him now. The guard scratched his head, looking a little uncomfortable. Sorry about earlier," he said, not quite meeting Tyson's eyes. I thought you were up to something." Tyson just nodded, not sure what to say. He wasn't angry, just tired. He understood why the guard had reacted that way, but that didn't make it any easier. "It's fine," Tyson said, his voice flat. The guard nodded, then looked away, clearing his throat. "You did good, kid. You really helped her." Tyson shrugged, but a small part of him felt proud. "Thanks," he mumbled. With that Tyson turned and began walking away. His legs were sore, his knees aching from kneeling for so long. He walked past the Collins Enterprise building again, the glass reflecting the sunlight almost blinding him. He squinted and looked down at the pavement, trying to push away the feeling that he didn't belong here. As he walked, Tyson pulled out the business card again, staring at it. He didn't know what to do. Should he call Mr. Collins? What would he even say? The thought made him nervous, and he slipped the card back into his pocket, deciding to think about it later. He walked all the way to school, his backpack feeling heavier than usual. By the time he got there, he was late, and the halls were mostly empty. He slipped into his classroom quietly, hoping not to draw any attention. His teacher, M. Alvarez, paused mid-sentence as Tyson took his seat. "You're late, Tyson," she said. "Sorry, Tyson," said, avoiding her gaze. He kept his head down, pulling out his notebook. He could feel the eyes of some of his classmates on him, but he didn't look up. He just wanted the day to end. Miss Alvarez continued with the lesson, her voice fading into the background as Tyson stared at his notebook. He couldn't concentrate. His mind kept going back to what had happened earlier. The fear in Mrs. Collins's eyes, the way she'd clung to him, the way the guard had looked at him like he was trouble, and then Mr. Collins offering him help. It was all too much. When the bell finally rang, Tyson packed up his things slowly. He was the last one out of the classroom. Miss Alvarez called his name just as he reached the door. "Tyson, a word please," she said, her voice gentle. Tyson turned back, walking over to her desk. She looked at him, her eyes kind but questioning. "Is everything okay?" she asked. "You seem distracted today." Tyson hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, just had a rough morning." M. Alvarez studied him for a moment, then nodded. "All right, but if you need to talk, I'm here." "Okay." "Thanks, Miss Alvarez," Tyson said, managing a small smile. He left the classroom, heading out into the hallway. The school was noisy, kids rushing to their next classes, their laughter echoing off the walls. Tyson felt out of place, like he was disconnected from everything around him. He pushed through the front doors, stepping out into the afternoon sun. He decided to head home instead of going to his next class. He just needed some time to think. As he walked, he kept replaying Mr. Collins's words in his head. "Call me, please." It was such a simple request, but to Tyson, it felt huge. When he finally reached his apartment building, he climbed the stairs slowly, his legs still sore. He unlocked the door and stepped inside. The place was quiet, his mom still at work. He glanced at the eviction notice on the table, the red letters bold and threatening. Tyson pulled out the business card again, staring at it. He took a deep breath, then grabbed the old phone from the counter. His hands were shaking as he dialed the number. He listened to the ringing, his heart pounding in his ears. "Hello?" a voice answered. It was Mr. Collins. Tyson swallowed, his throat dry. Hi, it's Tyson Carter." There was a pause, then Mr. Collins's voice softened. "Tyson, I'm glad you called. How are you, son?" I'm okay," Tyson said. He glanced at the eviction notice again, his eyes lingering on. "And I wanted to, talk about what you said earlier. Of course, Mr. Collins said, 'Tell me what you need.'" Tyson hesitated, his voice catching in his throat. He thought of his mom, how hard she worked, how tired she always looked. He took another deep breath. "My mom, she needs a job. She's been out of work for a while, and we're about to lose our place." There was a silence on the other end, and Tyson felt his heart sink. Maybe he'd overstepped. Maybe he shouldn't have asked. But then Mr. Collins spoke, his voice steady. "I understand, Tyson. I want to help. Let me see what I can do. Can you meet me tomorrow? I'll arrange something." Tyson blinked, barely believing what he was hearing. "Really? Really?" Mr. Collins said, "You helped my family. It's the least I can do." Tyson felt a weight lift off his shoulders, a feeling of hope he hadn't had in a long time. "Thank you," he whispered. "Of course, I'll be in touch," Mr. Collins said, and the call ended. Tyson put the phone down, his hands still trembling. He looked at the eviction notice one more time, then crumpled it up and tossed it in the trash. For the first time in weeks, he allowed himself to smile. Tyson spent the night tossing and turning, his mind racing with the events of the day. He kept replaying the moment Mrs. Collins stumbled, the way he had run to her. He couldn't help but feel a surge of nerves every time he remembered what he had asked Mr. Collins. It wasn't something small. It was about changing his and his mom's entire future. It was about making things better for her. And now he was about to meet Mr. Collins again. The idea scared him more than anything else. The next morning, his mom was in the kitchen making breakfast, the smell of scrambled eggs filling the small apartment. Tyson hesitated before telling her about his plans. He wasn't even sure what was going to happen yet. "Morning, sweetheart," she said, giving him a tired smile. Her eyes were lined, her hands rough from the long shifts she had been working. "You sleep okay, Tyson?" Shrugged. "Yeah, sort of." He paused, then blurted it out. I met someone yesterday, a guy named Mr. Collins. He said he could help you find a job." His mom looked up from the pan, her eyes widening. "What? Tyson, what are you talking about?" She turned off the stove, facing him fully. Tyson took a breath, trying to explain everything as clearly as he could. He told her about Mrs. Collins, about how she had almost fallen, and how he had helped her. He explained that Mr. Collins was her husband and that he had promised to help his mom. Just stared at him for a moment, her face a mix of disbelief and worry. "Tyson, you shouldn't be asking strangers for help." "Help? What if?" "Mom," Tyson cut in, his voice urgent. "He said I saved his wife. He asked if he could do something for me, and I told him about you. I just thought it's worth a shot, right?" She looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. "Tyson, you shouldn't be carrying all this on your shoulders. You're still a kid." Tyson shook his head. "I had to do something, Mom. We can't keep going like this." He lowered his voice, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on him again. "Just meet with them, okay? Please." She looked down at the floor, then nodded slowly. All right, I'll go. But Tyson, if this doesn't work out, we'll figure something else out, okay?" Tyson nodded, his chest feeling tight. He hoped with everything in him that this would work out. Later that morning, Tyson walked with his mom towards the Collins Enterprise building. His mom was dressed in her best clothes, but Tyson knew they were still worn, faded from too many washes. She walked with her head held high, though, and he admired her strength. When they reached the building, Tyson saw Mr. Collins waiting by the entrance. He looked out of place, standing there in his expensive suit, checking his watch. When his eyes landed on Tyson, he smiled and stepped forward. "Tyson," he called out, waving them over. Tyson and his mom walked up to him, and Mr. Collins held out his hand to Tyson's mom. "You must be Mrs. Carter. I'm James Collins. It's so nice to meet you." Tyson's mom shook his hand, a polite smile on her face. "Thank you for seeing us, Mr. Collins," she said, her voice steady, though Tyson could tell she was nervous. "Please call me James," he said warmly. He gestured towards the building. "Why don't we go inside? We can talk more comfortably in my office." Tyson followed them inside, his eyes wide as they entered the lobby. Everything was sleek, polished, and bustling with people in suits. He stayed close to his mom, feeling small in the huge space. The receptionist gave them a curious glance, but didn't say anything as Mr. Collins led them to the elevator. The elevator ride was silent, Tyson staring at the floor numbers lighting up. As they rose when they stepped out, Mr. Collins led them to a large office with a glass wall that overlooked the city. Tyson had never seen anything like it. "Please have a seat," Mr. Collins said, gesturing to the chairs across from his desk. Tyson and his mom sat down, and Mr. Collins settled into the chair behind his desk. "So, Tyson, told me a bit about your situation," Mr. Collins began, looking at Tyson's mom. "I want to help. I owe your son a great deal for what he did for my wife." Tyson's mom looked down for a moment, then met Mr. Collins' gaze. "I appreciate that, Mr. Collins James, but I don't want charity. I want to earn what I get." Mr. Collins smiled. "I understand, Mrs. Carter. I'm not offering charity. I'm offering an opportunity. We have a position open here in our building services team. It's honest work, and it comes with benefits. I think you'd be a great fit." Tyson watched his mom's face as she processed what Mr. Collins was saying. He could see the hesitation, the doubt. "Building services?" she asked. "You mean like maintenance?" Mr. Collins nodded. "Yes, it's mostly maintenance, keeping things running smoothly. It's not easy work, but it's steady and it's important to the company." His mom was quiet for a long time. Tyson could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her hands gripped her purse. He wanted to say something, to tell her it was okay to take it, but he stayed quiet. Finally, she nodded. "All right," she said softly. "If you're sure, I like the job." Mr. Collins smiled, standing up and holding out his hand. "Welcome aboard, Mrs. Carter. I'll have HR get the paperwork ready." Tyson's mom stood up, shaking his hand again. Her eyes were shiny, like she was trying not to cry. "Thank you," she said, her voice breaking just a little. Mr. Collins turned to Tyson, giving him a nod. "You did a good thing, Tyson. You should be proud of yourself." Tyson nodded, feeling his face grow warm. He didn't know what to say, so he just said, "Thank you, sir." As they left the office, Tyson could see his mom's eyes were wet. She put her arm around his shoulders, pulling him close. "I don't know what I'd do without you, Tyson," she whispered. Tyson just hugged her back, feeling a weight lift off his shoulders. It wasn't over, but it was a start. Tyson and his mom left the Collins Enterprise building, walking down the street in silence. The air felt different, lighter, the heavy weight that had been looming over their heads. For weeks seemed to have shifted, giving them both a brief but much-needed sense of hope. Tyson looked up at his mom, catching a glimpse of the smile that lingered on her lips. She looked at him and squeezed his shoulder gently. "I think we might have just caught a break, sweetheart," she said, her voice filled with a mix of hope and caution. "We've got to be careful, but maybe, just maybe, things are going to change." Tyson nodded, though he didn't want to get too excited. He didn't want to jinx it. "Yeah, maybe," he said, giving her a small smile. They headed home, taking the bus. Tyson could see his mom glancing out the window, her eyes distant, lost in thought. He could imagine what was going through her mind, thinking of the bills, the rent, the eviction notice that still sat crumpled in the trash. But now there was a plan, now there was a job, and that meant hope. The next morning, Tyson woke up early. His mom had to go to the Collins Enterprise for her first day. Tyson felt the excitement as she watched her get ready, pulling on the uniform that Mr. Collins had arranged for her to pick up the previous evening. It was a simple navy blue outfit, but to Tyson it looked like something much more. It was a symbol of hope, a sign that they weren't defeated yet. His mom looked at herself in the small mirror by the door, adjusting the collar of her shirt. She turned to Tyson, giving her a nervous smile. "How do I look?" she asked. Tyson grinned. "You look like someone who's about to change everything." She laughed softly, shaking her head. "You've always been my biggest supporter, kiddo." Tyson watched her leave, and then he grabbed his backpack, heading out for school. His walk to school felt different. He passed by the Collins Enterprise building again, and this time, instead of just a tall, distant structure, it felt more personal. It was the place that was giving his mom a chance. He walked past it, staring up at the glass windows, feeling a mix of pride and nerves. At school, Tyson tried his best to focus on his classes, but his thoughts kept drifting back to his mom. He wondered how her day was going, whether she was nervous, whether the other employees were treating her kindly. He tried to push the thoughts away, but they kept coming back. When lunchtime rolled around, Tyson found himself sitting alone at a table in the cafeteria. He wasn't in the mood to chat with anyone. He pulled out his sandwich. Unwrapping it slowly, lost in his thoughts, suddenly he heard a voice. "Hey, Tyson." Tyson looked up to see a couple of his classmates, Marcus and Jonah, standing there, trays in hand. They weren't exactly his friends, but they weren't bullies either, just two guys from his math class. Hey, Tyson said, nodding at them. Marcus sat down across from Tyson while Jonah took the seat beside him. "We heard what happened yesterday," Marcus said, a small smile on his face. "You were all over social media, man." Tyson blanked, surprised. "What do you mean?" Jonah pulled out his phone, tapping on the screen before holding it out to Tyson. On the screen was a picture of him kneeling beside Mrs. Collins on the sidewalk, helping her stay steady. It must have been taken by one of the people in the crowd. The caption read, "Teen saves pregnant woman outside Collins Enterprise. Real hero." Tyson stared at the screen, his stomach flipping. He hadn't realized anyone had taken a picture. He didn't even think about it. He just did what felt right. Seeing himself on the screen, seeing all the likes and comments below, felt strange. "You're like a hero or something," Jonah said, laughing. "Everyone's talking about it." Tyson handed the phone back, feeling his face grow hot. I just helped her," he said quietly. Marcus grinned. "Well, it's still cool. You're famous now, man." Tyson shook his head, feeling embarrassed. "I'm not famous. It was nothing." Jonah shrugged. "Maybe to you, but it looked like a big deal to everyone else." Tyson didn't know what to say. He just nodded, hoping they would drop it. He wasn't used to being the center of attention. He wasn't used to people looking at him like that. He just wanted things to go back to normal, but he could tell that wasn't going to happen anytime soon. When school ended, Tyson walked out of the building, pulling his backpack over his shoulder. He saw Marcus and Jonah talking with some other kids, and they waved at him. He waved back, but he kept walking. He didn't want to be pulled into any conversations about what had happened. He just wanted to get home. As he walked, he noticed a couple of people looking at him, kids from school, a few adults passing by. He heard someone say, "That's the kid from the Collins thing." Tyson kept his head down, walking faster. He didn't want the attention. He didn't want people staring at him like he was someone special. When he finally reached his apartment building, he felt a sense of relief. He climbed the stairs, unlocked the door, and stepping inside his mom. Wasn't home yet, but he knew she would be soon. He dropped his backpack on the floor, collapsing onto the couch. He closed his eyes, trying to clear his mind. A few hours later, Tyson heard the front door open. He sat up quickly, looking over as his mom stepped inside. She looked tired, her hair a little messy, but she was smiling. "Hey, Mom," Tyson said, getting up and walking over to her. "How was it?" His mom set her bag down, exhaling deeply. It was good. Hard work, but good." She smiled at him, her eyes a little watery. "Everyone was nice. I think I can do this." Tyson grinned, feeling a rush of pride. "I knew you could." She pulled him into a hug, holding him close. "I couldn't have done it without you. You know that." Tyson hugged her back, his heart swelling. "We're a team, right?" She nodded, pulling back and brushing her hand over his cheek. "Always." As the evening went on, Tyson and his mom sat down to dinner. Simple sandwiches, but it felt like a feast, considering what they had been through. His mom told him about her day, about how Mr. Collins had checked in on her, how the other employees had been kind to her, how she had been assigned tasks that she knew she could handle. And they said, "I did a good job," she said, her voice filled with pride. I think this might actually work out." Tyson? Tyson nodded, taking a bite of his sandwich. I think so too, Mom. As they finished their meal, Tyson couldn't help but feel a sense of peace. Things were changing, but for once it felt like they were changing for the better. His mom had a job, they had a chance, and maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. The next morning, Tyson found himself back in the routine of school, but nothing really felt the same. As he walked through the hallways, he kept noticing the way people looked at him, some with admiration, others just curious. He kept his head down, avoiding eye contact. He could hear whispers as he passed by, and even though no one approached him directly, the feeling of being noticed didn't sit well with him. He couldn't focus in class, his mind drifting to his mom's first day at work. He hoped it went well, hoped she could finally find a bit of stability. He knew she needed it, they both did. The weight of responsibility still hung over him. He wanted things to change.
Hey kid, this job felt like their one shot. As soon as the final bell rang, Tyson grabbed his backpack and headed out, walking quickly through the front doors of the school. He didn't want to linger and talk to anyone. He just wanted to get home. He had to check in on his mom, hear how her day went. He walked through the city streets, the sounds of cars and people blending together in a steady hum. The Collins Enterprise building loomed up ahead. Tyson slowed his steps as he approached, looking up at the tall glass structure. He remembered the way Mrs. Collins had looked, the fear in her eyes, the way she had leaned on him, trusting him, even though they were strangers. He never thought that one moment would change so much for his family. "Hey kid," a voice called out, pulling him out of his thoughts. Tyson turned, his eyes widening in surprise. Mr. Collins was standing near the entrance, waving him over. Tyson hesitated for a second, then walked towards him. "Mr. Collins," Tyson said, giving a small nod, "I wasn't expecting to see you here." Mr. Collins smiled, his expression warm. "I was just about to leave, but I saw you walking by." He paused, looking Tyson over. "I wanted to thank you again, Tyson. You have no idea how much it means to us. My wife is doing much better now, thanks to you." Tyson shrugged, feeling his face flush. "I'm glad she's okay." Mr. Collins nodded, his eyes softening. "Listen, I also wanted to ask you something." He gestured towards the benches near the building entrance. "Do you have a moment to sit down?" Tyson nodded, curious but also a bit nervous. He followed Mr. Collins to the bench, sitting down beside him. The businessman looked thoughtful, his gaze drifting for a moment before he turned back to Tyson. "What you did for Anna, it wasn't just brave, it was selfless. And when I asked you what you wanted in return, you didn't ask for anything for yourself. You asked for your mom," Mr. Collins said, his voice filled with admiration. "That's rare, Tyson. It really struck me." Tyson looked down, his hands fidgeting in his lap. I wanted to help her. She's worked so hard, and we've been struggling. I figured maybe you could do something." Mr. Collins nodded. "And I'm glad you did. Your mom has been doing great. She's a hard worker, and everyone here already speaks highly of her." Tyson's heart swelled at that. He knew how much this meant to his mom, how much it meant to both of them. "I'm glad she's doing well," said a small smile tugging at his lips. Mr. Collins leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. He looked at Tyson, his expression serious now. "But I'm not done helping yet, Tyson. I want to do something for you, Tyson." Tyson blinked, taken aback. "For me?" "Yes, for you." Mr. Collins said, his voice firm. You've given a lot to help others, but now I want to help you. You're a smart kid, Tyson. You care about your family. You care about doing what's right. That's something worth investing in." Tyson felt his stomach tighten. He didn't know what to say. He didn't even know what to ask for. I don't know what I need," he said honestly, his voice barely a whisper. Mr. Collins smiled, nodding. "That's all right. Let me ask you this. What are your dreams, Tyson? What do you want for your future?" Tyson hesitated, his mind swirling. He had never really thought about it, not like that.
Dreams felt like something for other people, something out of reach. He had always been too busy worrying about how they would pay rent, how his mom was going to keep the lights on. Dreams weren't something he had the luxury of considering. I don't know, Tyson admitted. I just want to help my mom. I want things to get better for her. Mr. Collins nodded, understanding in his eyes. And what about school? You're a bright kid. Do you like learning? Tyson shrugged. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I like reading. I go to the library a lot, but I've never really thought about school like something that could lead to anything else. Mr. Collins smiled. You remind me of myself at your age, hungry for knowledge, but life kept throwing obstacles in the way. He paused, leaning back against the bench. How would you feel about getting some help with school? A scholarship, maybe? Tyson blinked, his heart pounding. A scholarship? The words felt foreign, like something he'd only heard in movies or on TV. Yes, Mr. Collins said. I'd like to make sure you get the education you deserve, Tyson. You're a smart kid, and you shouldn't be limited by things you can't control. I'm willing to help you make sure you can focus on school, on your future. Tyson stared at Mr. Collins, the weight of his words sinking in. It felt like everything was happening too fast. His mom's job, now this. It was almost too much to believe. You really mean that? Tyson asked, his voice trembling. You'd do that for me? Mr. Collins nodded, his eyes sincere. Absolutely. It's the least I can do. You've already proven that you're willing to work hard, that you care about your family. I want to see you succeed. Tyson swallowed, feeling tears prick at his eyes. He looked away, trying to keep himself composed. He had never thought anyone would offer him something like this. It didn't feel real. He thought about his mom, how happy she had been just to have a job. How she always told him that education was the one thing no one could take away from him. Tyson nodded, slowly, turning back to Mr. Collins. I like that. I want to do something with my life. I want to make my mom proud. Mr. Collins smiled, reaching over and putting a hand on Tyson's shoulder. You already have, Tyson, and I have no doubt that you're going to do great things. Tyson took a deep breath, the tension that had been building in his chest slowly releasing. For the first time in a long time, he felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel. Hope, real hope, that things could get better, that there was more for him beyond the struggles and the fear. Mr. Collins stood up, extending his hand to Tyson. We'll start working on it right away. I'll make sure you have everything you need to succeed. Tyson stood up, shaking Mr. Collins' hand firmly. Thank you, sir, he said, his voice steady, filled with gratitude. Mr. Collins smiled, nodding. You deserve it, Tyson. Now go home and tell your mom the good news. I'll be in touch with more details soon. Tyson nodded, turning to leave. As he walked away, he felt a sense of weightlessness, like he was walking on air. He couldn't wait to get home and tell his mom. He couldn't wait to see her smile, to share this hope with her. For once, it felt like the world wasn't against them. It felt like they finally had a chance. Tyson raced home, his heart pounding with excitement and disbelief. He was carrying something precious, a hope he had never truly felt before, a future he could finally see taking shape. He couldn't wait to see his mom's face when he told her the news. He had always tried to protect her from worry, tried to lighten the burden she carried. But today, he was bringing her something she hadn't had in a long time, real hope. He reached their building, his feet pounding up the worn concrete steps. He swung open the door to their apartment, calling out as soon as he entered. "Mom! Mom! Are you home?" She came out from the small kitchen, a dish towel in her hand. Her hair pulled back, she looked surprised at his energy. "Tyson, what's going on, sweetheart?" she asked, her eyebrows knitting together.
Tyson paused, trying to catch his breath, a grin spreading across his face. "You won't believe it, Mr. Collins. He offered me a scholarship. He wants to help me with school, Mom." His voice cracked a little, the excitement spilling over. His mom stared at him, her eyes wide. She blinked as if she wasn't sure she heard him right. "A scholarship?" she repeated, her voice barely a whisper. "Tyson, are you serious?" Tyson nodded, his grin not fading for a second. "Yeah, Mom, he said he's going to help me get the education I deserve. I don't have to worry about school fees or anything like that. It's real, Mom." His mom's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes welling with tears. She walked over to him, pulling him into a tight hug. Tyson could feel her shaking, her body trembling as she held him. "Oh, Tyson," she whispered, her voice breaking. This is everything we hoped for." He hugged her back just as tightly, feeling his own eyes sting. "We're gonna be okay, Mom. I know we are," he said, his voice muffled against her shoulder. She pulled back, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand, a watery smile on her face. "You've always been so strong, Tyson. You've always looked out for me. And now look at you. Look at what you've done." She cued his face, her eyes filled with pride. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart." Tyson swallowed, nodding. He could feel his throat tighten with emotion. He had done it for her, for them, and now, for once, things were actually looking up. He felt like they were finally stepping out of the shadows. They sat down at the small kitchen table, his mom still holding his hand. As he told her everything, how Mr. Collins had stopped him, how he had asked what Tyson wanted for his future, how he had offered to make sure Tyson could focus on school, on getting the education he had always dreamed of but never thought possible. His mom listened, nodding, her eyes never leaving his face. She looked overwhelmed, but happy, her smile growing wider with each word. "This is going to change everything, Tyson. You're going to be able to do anything you want now," she said, her voice filled with awe. Tyson smiled, but it was a different kind of smile, one filled with determination. "I'm going to make the most of this, Mom. I promise. I'm not going to waste it." His mom nodded, squeezing his hand. "I know you won't. You've got so much potential, Tyson, and now you're finally going to get the chance to show it." They spent the rest of the evening talking, planning, dreaming. For the first time, they allowed themselves to think about the future without the shadow of rent notices and overdue bills hanging over them. It was strange, almost unreal, to be talking about school, about college, about possibilities that had once seemed so far away. The next day, Tyson woke up early, a new energy buzzing through him. He got ready for school, pulling on his clothes and packing his backpack with a sense of purpose. His mom was already up, her uniform neatly pressed as she prepared to leave for her shift at Collins Enterprise. She smiled at him, a twinkle in her eyes that Tyson hadn't seen in a long time. "Ready for another day, kiddo?" she asked, her voice light. Tyson nodded. "Yeah, I think I actually am." He grabbed his backpack, slinging it over his shoulder. "I'll see you later, Mom. Good luck today." "You too, sweetheart. I'll be thinking about you," she said, giving him a quick hug before they headed out the door. As Tyson walked to school, everything seemed different. The buildings looked less imposing. The people passing by seemed less distant. He even found himself smiling at strangers, feeling the weight that had always pressed on his shoulders beginning to lift. When he reached school, he walked into the building, his steps more confident than they had ever been before. His classes seemed to go by faster, and for once, Tyson found himself actually enjoying the lessons. He had always liked learning, but now there was a purpose to it. Now there was a goal. He wasn't just going through the motions anymore. He was preparing for something bigger. At lunchtime, Tyson sat down at his usual spot, but this time Marcus and Jonah were already there, waving him over. Tyson walked up, setting his tray down, and they grinned at him.
Dude, we heard about the scholarship thing, Marcus said, his eyes wide with admiration. That's insane, man. You're going to places. Tyson smiled, a little shy. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I still can't really believe it. Jonah nudged him. You're like a real-life hero, dude. First you saved someone, now you're getting a scholarship. What's next? Are you going to be president or something? Tyson laughed, shaking his head. Nah, nothing like that. I'm just trying to do my best. They talked through lunch, and for the first time, Tyson felt like he was fitting in. He wasn't just the quiet kid who kept his head down. He was someone people noticed, someone people respected. It felt strange, but it also felt good. He was starting to see himself the way others saw him, strong, capable, deserving of this chance. When school ended, Tyson headed home, his head filled with plans for the future. He had so much to think about, so many possibilities that had never been there before. He thought about his mom, how hard she had worked for so long, how much she had sacrificed, and now, finally, he was in a position to give back. He reached their building, climbing the steps 2 at a time. As he unlocked the door and stepped inside, he found his mom sitting at the table, her work clothes still on, her face flushed from the day. She looked up at him, her eyes lighting up. Hey, sweetheart, how are your day? She asked, her voice warm. Tyson smiled, dropping his backpack on the floor. It was good, Mom, really good. He walked over, sitting down beside her, and I was thinking maybe we should celebrate just a little, you know? His mom raised an eyebrow, a smile playing on her lips. Celebrate? And what did you have in mind, Mr. Fancy Scholarship? Tyson laughed. I don't know. Maybe we could order a pizza or something, just for tonight. It's been a long time since we did something like that. His mom's eyes softened, and she nodded. You know what, Tyson? I think that's a great idea. We deserve it. They ordered the pizza, and as they sat together that night, eating and talking and laughing, Tyson felt something inside him settle. For once, they weren't just surviving, they were living. They had fought so hard to get here, and now they were finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. As the night drew to a close, Tyson lay in bed, staring up at the ceiling, a smile on his face. He could still feel the warmth of his mom's hug, the taste of the pizza still lingering. He thought about the future, about the opportunities ahead, and he knew that he wasn't going to let any of it go to waste. He was going to work hard, make something of himself, and make his mom proud. The next morning, Tyson woke up with a sense of purpose that seemed to fill his entire body. He had never really been excited to get out of bed, but now everything felt different. He wasn't just getting through each day anymore. He was actively working towards something bigger. He knew that this was just the beginning of the changes in their lives.
And he was ready to embrace it all. His mom had already left for her shift by the time Tyson got up, but she had left a note on the counter. He picked it up, reading her careful handwriting. Have a great day, Tyson. I know you're going to do amazing things. Love, Mom. Tyson smiled, slipping the note into his pocket. He grabbed his backpack and left the apartment. The early morning sun warming his face as he walked down the steps. He was ready for whatever the day would bring. When he got to school, he noticed more of the kids looking at him, some of them even waving or nodding. It still felt strange to have all this attention, but he was getting used to it. He waved back, his steps steady as he made his way to his first class. Miss Alvarez greeted him warmly when he walked in, her eyes lighting up. Tyson, I heard about the scholarship offer. That's incredible news, she said, her voice filled with genuine happiness. Tyson felt his face warm a little. Yeah, thank you, Miss Alvarez. I still can't really believe it. She smiled at him, nodding. You deserve it, Tyson. You've worked hard, and this is just the beginning of all the wonderful things you're going to accomplish. Tyson took his seat, pulling out his notebook. Miss Alvarez's words echoed in his mind. Just the beginning? He liked the sound of that. He liked the idea that he was finally getting a chance to prove himself.
The classes went by quickly, and for the first time, Tyson found himself enjoying the lessons. He wasn't just doing the work to get by, he was actually thinking about how this knowledge could help him, how it could open doors he had never thought were available to him. He participated more in class, answering questions, even asking a few of his own. His teachers seemed surprised but pleased, and Tyson could feel the respect growing in the room. At lunchtime, Tyson walked to the cafeteria, feeling more comfortable than he had in weeks. He grabbed his lunch tray and headed over to the table where Marcus, Jonah, and a couple of other kids from his class were sitting. They looked up, waving him over. "Hey, Tyson," Marcus called out, grinning. "How's it going, man?" Tyson smiled, setting his tray down and taking a seat. "It's good. Things are finally starting to look up." Jonah nodded, leaning forward. "Yeah, I heard about that scholarship thing. That's seriously awesome, man. You're gonna be set." Tyson shrugged, feeling the warmth of their words. "I'm just grateful for the chance. I'm going to."
To work hard, make the most of it. One of the other kids at the table, a girl named Kayla, smiled at Tyson. "It's really inspiring what you did, not just with the scholarship, but helping that woman. Not everyone would have stepped up like that." Tyson glanced down at his tray, feeling a little embarrassed by the praise. "I just did what felt right, you know? I didn't think about it." Marcus nodded, giving him a playful nudge. "Yeah, well, not everyone thinks like that. You've got something special, man." Tyson didn't know what to say, so he just smiled and nodded, feeling a warm warmth spread through him that he hadn't felt in a long time. It felt good to be seen, to be appreciated, not just for what he had done, but for who he was. After lunch, Tyson headed to his next class. He was sitting at his desk when his phone buzzed in his pocket. He discreetly pulled it out, glancing at the screen. It was a message from an unknown number. "Hi, Tyson. It's Mr. Collins. I wanted to let you know that I've arranged a meeting for you this weekend with a representative from the Scholarship Foundation. They're excited to meet you and discuss the opportunities available to you. Let me know if that works for you." Tyson's heart skipped a beat. He quickly typed out a response, his hands shaking slightly. "Thank you so much, Mr. Collins. That sounds great. I'll be there." He slipped the phone back into his pocket, his mind buzzing with excitement. A meeting with the Scholarship Foundation. This was it. This was the start of everything. He could hardly believe that it was happening, that his life was finally starting to change. The rest of the day passed in a blur, and when the final bell rang, Tyson headed out of the school building, a smile on his face. He walked home, the sun beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. He felt lighter, like he was floating. He couldn't wait to tell his mom about the meeting. When he got home, his mom was already there, sitting at the kitchen table with a tired but satisfied look on her face. She looked up as Tyson walked in, her smile growing when she saw him. "Hey, sweetheart, how was school?" she asked, her voice warm. Tyson set his backpack down, walking over to her. "It was good, Mom. I've got some news, actually." He pulled out his phone, showing her the message from Mr. Collins. Her eyes widened as she read it, her hand flying to her mouth. "Oh, Tyson, that's amazing. A meeting with the Scholarship Foundation? This is really happening." She looked up at him, her eyes shining. "I'm so proud of you." Tyson grinned, feeling his chest swell with pride. "Thanks, Mom. I couldn't have done it without you. You're the one who's always believed in me." She reached out, taking his hand and squeezing it. "You've always been special, Tyson, and now the rest of the world is going to see it too." They spent the evening talking about the meeting, about what Tyson should say, about the opportunities that might come from it. His mom kept reminding him how proud she was, how much she believed in him. And Tyson soaked it all in, feeling the love and support that had always been there, even in the toughest times. The weekend came quickly, and Tyson found himself standing in front of a tall office building, his heart pounding. He was wearing his best clothes, an old button-up shirt and a pair of pants that were a little too short, but it was the best he had. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. This was it. This was the moment he had been waiting for. The door to the building opened and Mr. Collins stepped out, a smile on his face. "Tyson, glad you could make it," he said, walking over and shaking Tyson's hand firmly. Tyson smiled, nodding. "Thank you for arranging this, Mr. Collins. I really appreciate it." Mr. Collins patted his shoulder. "You've earned this, Tyson. Now, come on, let's go inside and meet the folks from the foundation. They're excited to meet you." Tyson followed Mr. Collins inside, his hands feeling clammy. He walked through the lobby, the polished floors gleaming under the bright lights. Mr. Collins led him to an elevator, pressing the button for one of the upper floors. Tyson could feel his heart racing, the anticipation building with every floor they passed. When the elevator doors opened, Mr. Collins led Tyson down a hallway to a large conference room. There were a few people sitting at the table, a man and two women, all of them dressed in business attire. They looked up as Tyson entered, smiles spreading across their faces. "Tyson, it's a pleasure to meet you," the man said, standing up and extending his hand. "I'm Mr. Lawrence, and this is Miss Harper and Miss Williams. We've heard a lot about you." Tyson shook their hands, his voice shaky as he said, "It's nice to meet you too. Thank you for having me." Mr. Lawrence patted his shoulder. "You've earned this, Tyson. Now, come on, let's go inside and meet the folks from the foundation. They're excited to meet you." Tyson followed Mr. Collins inside, his hands feeling clammy. He walked through the lobby, the polished floors gleaming under the bright lights. Mr. Collins led him to an elevator, pressing the button for one of the upper floors. Tyson could feel his heart racing, the anticipation building with every floor they passed. When the elevator doors opened, Mr. Collins led Tyson down a hallway to a large conference room. There were a few people sitting at the table, a man and two women, all of them dressed in business attire. They looked up as Tyson entered, smiles spreading across their faces. "Tyson, it's a pleasure to meet you," the man said, standing up and extending his hand. "I'm Mr. Lawrence, and this is Miss Harper and Miss Williams. We've heard a lot about you." Tyson shook their hands, his voice shaky as he said, "It's nice to meet you too. Thank you for having me." Mr. Lawrence gestured to the table. "Please have a seat. We're excited to talk to you about the scholarship program."
What it could mean for your future. Tyson sat down, trying to calm his nerves. He listened as they explained the details of the scholarship, how it would cover his school fees, provide him with support for his studies, and even help him get into a good college. They talked about the opportunities that would be open to him, the doors that could be unlocked. Tyson felt a surge of emotion as he listened. This was more than he had ever dreamed of. This was a chance to break free from the cycle of struggle, a chance to build a future that wasn't defined by hardship. He could feel tears prick at his eyes, but he blinked them away, nodding as they spoke. When they finished, Mr. Lawrence smiled at him. "Tyson, we believe in you. We believe you have the potential to do great things, and we want to help you achieve that. Are you ready to take this journey?" Tyson swallowed, his throat tight with emotion. He nodded, his voice barely a whisper. "Yes, I'm ready." Mr. Collins, who had been sitting quietly beside him, gave Tyson an encouraging nod. "You're going to do amazing things, Tyson. I have no doubt about that." Tyson left the meeting with a stack of papers and a heart full of hope. He walked out of the building with Mr. Collins, the sun shining brightly, warming his face. Mr. Collins shook his hand again, smiling at him. "This is just the beginning, Tyson," he said. "You've got a bright future ahead of you." Tyson nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "Thank you, Mr. Collins, for everything." As Tyson walked home, he felt lighter than he ever had before. He couldn't wait to tell his mom, couldn't wait to share the news with her. This was it. This was the new beginning they had been waiting for, and he knew that no matter what, he was going to make the most of it. Tyson woke up the next morning feeling a surge of excitement and nerves coursing through his veins. The meeting with the Scholarship Foundation had left him energized, and his mind was full of the possibilities ahead. But even with all the hope, there were still parts of him that worried about the changes coming, the challenges he would need to face. He sat at the kitchen table staring at his breakfast, just toast and some scrambled eggs. His mom was across from him sipping her coffee, her eyes flicking over to him every few moments. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" she asked, her voice gentle. "You've been awfully quiet this morning." Tyson looked up, giving her a small smile.
"Yeah, I'm good, Mom. Just thinking about everything. I guess it's a lot." She reached across the table, placing her hand on his. "I know it is, but remember, you don't have to do it alone. We're in this together." Tyson nodded, squeezing her hand back. "Yeah, I know." After finishing breakfast, Tyson grabbed his backpack, ready to head to school. His mom gave him a hug before he left, her arm wrapping around him tightly. "Just remember, Tyson, you're capable of anything. Don't let anyone make you think otherwise." He left their apartment with those words echoing in his mind as he walked to school. He thought about the journey ahead of him. A scholarship meant new opportunities, but it also meant stepping out of his comfort zone, meeting new people, facing new challenges. He wasn't sure what to expect, but he knew that whatever happened, he was ready to fight for it. When he got to school, Tyson could already feel the difference. People were still looking at him, some whispering about the scholarship. He caught snippets of conversation, kids talking about how lucky he was, how amazing it was that he had been chosen for something so big. Tyson tried to ignore the looks and comments, but it was hard. He had never been the center of attention, and now it felt like everyone was watching his every move. As he walked into his first class, Miss Alvarez smiled at him, her eyes bright with encouragement. "Tyson, I'm glad to see you. How are you feeling today?" Tyson shrugged, giving her a small smile. "I'm all right, Miss Alvarez, just trying to take everything in." She nodded, her gaze soft. "That's understandable. It's a lot to handle, but just remember, you've got a lot of people rooting for you, and we all believe in you." The rest of the morning passed in a blur of classes and assignments. Tyson tried his best to focus, but his mind kept drifting to the scholarship, to what was coming next. He knew he was going to have to work harder than ever before, and part of him felt scared. What if he couldn't do it? What if he let everyone down? At lunchtime, Tyson found himself sitting alone. Marcus and Jonah weren't there today. They both had a group project to work on, and Tyson felt the weight of all the changes pressing down on him. He picked at his food, barely eating, his thoughts swirling. Suddenly, a shadow fell over the table, and Tyson looked up to see Kayla standing there, her tray in her hands. She smiled at him, her eyes kind. "Mind if I sit here?" Tyson blinked, a little surprised. Sure. Kayla set her tray down, sitting across from him. She took a bite of her sandwich before looking at him, her gaze thoughtful. "You look like you could use some company," she said, her voice gentle. Tyson shrugged, trying to smile. "Yeah, I guess it's just been a lot, you know?" Kayla nodded. "I get it. A lot of people, talking, a lot of expectations. It's not easy." Tyson looked down at his tray, fiddling with his fork. I don't want to let anyone down." Kayla leaned forward, her expression serious. "Listen, Tyson, no one's expecting you to be perfect. The fact that you've come this far is already amazing. You just have to keep being you. Keep trying your best. That's all anyone can ask." Tyson glanced up at her, her words sinking in. "Yeah, I guess you're right." She smiled. "I know I'm right, and you're not alone, okay? If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." Tyson nodded, feeling a warmth spread through him. It felt good to know that someone understood, that he wasn't alone in feeling overwhelmed. "Thanks, Kayla. That means a lot." They spent the rest of lunch talking, and for the first time that day, Tyson felt a little more at ease. Kayla was easy to talk to. She made him laugh, made him forget about the pressure, even just for a little while. By the time the bell rang, Tyson felt a little lighter, a little more ready to face the rest of the day. After school, Tyson decided to stop by the library. He had always found comfort in books, in losing himself in stories, in learning about the world. He walked through the aisles, running his fingers over the spines of the books, feeling a sense of calm wash over him. He picked up a book about science, flipping through the pages as he found a quiet corner to sit.
He was absorbed in the book when he heard someone clear their throat. He looked up to see Mr. Collins there, a smile on his face. "Tyson," Mr. Collins said, his voice warm. "I thought I might find you here." Tyson blinked, setting the book down. "Mr. Collins, what are you doing here?" Mr. Collins walked over, sitting down in the chair across from Tyson. "I wanted to check in on you, see how you're holding up with everything." Tyson shrugged, trying to hide the nerves that still lingered. "I'm okay. It's just a lot to take in." Mr. Collins nodded, his gaze understanding. "I can imagine, but I want you to know that you're not
alone in this time, Tyson. You have people who believe in you, who want to see you succeed, and that includes me." Tyson looked down, his hands fidgeting in his lap. I don't want to mess this up. It's a big opportunity, and I feel like there's so much pressure to do everything right." Mr. Collins leaned forward, his expression gentle. "Tyson, you're already doing everything right. You've worked hard, you've taken chances, and you've shown that you have a good heart. That's what matters. The rest will come with time, and you're allowed to make mistakes along the way. No one's perfect." Tyson swallowed, nodding. "Thanks, Mr. Collins. I don't want to let anyone down." Mr. Collins smiled. "You won't. You're stronger than you think, Tyson, and I know you're going to do great things." They sat there for a while longer, talking quietly. Mr. Collins asked about school, about Tyson's interests, about what he wanted to do in the future. Tyson found himself opening up more, talking about his dreams, about the things he wanted to learn. It felt good to share, to have someone listen and believe in him. When they finally stood up to leave, Mr. Collins gave Tyson a pat on the shoulder. "Remember, Tyson, one step at a time. You've got this." Tyson nodded, a small smile on his face. "Thanks, Mr. Collins. I'll do my best." He walked home with a sense of hope building inside him. It wasn't going to be easy, but he knew that he had people in his corner, people who believed in him, and that made all the difference. When he got home, his mom was already there, sitting on the couch, a tired but happy look on her face. She looked up as he walked in, her eyes lighting up. "Hey, sweetheart, how was your day?" Tyson smiled, sitting down beside her. "It was good, Mom. I think things are finally starting to fall into place." She reached over, pulling him into a hug. "I'm so proud of you, Tyson. No matter what happens, you're already a success in my eyes." Tyson hugged her back, closing his eyes for a moment, letting the warmth of her words fill him. He knew that there were still challenges ahead, but for once, he felt ready to face them. He had hope, he had support, and he had a future that was finally starting to take shape. The day of Tyson's first official meeting at the new school came faster than he expected. It was an exclusive prep school, one that Mr. Collins had arranged for him to visit so that he could see where the scholarship would take him. Tyson stood in front of the large building, his heart pounding in his chest. The building was impressive with sprawling lawns and grand entryways, unlike anything he'd ever seen. It was a far cry from his old public school. His mom was by his side, her eyes wide as she looked at the school. She was wearing her best outfit, her face filled with a mix of pride and nervousness. She put her arm around Tyson's shoulder, giving him a gentle squeeze. "You ready, sweetheart?" Tyson nodded, his throat dry. "Yeah, I think so." They walked up the steps together, and Tyson could feel the weight of what was happening pressing down on him. This was a new world, one he hadn't imagined he'd ever be a part of. He had always seen schools like this on TV, places where the kids wore blazers and spoke confidently, where the teachers were attentive, and every door seemed to open up to opportunity. A woman in a tailored suit greeted them at the entrance, her smile warm and welcoming. "You must be Tyson. I'm Miss Thompson, the guidance counselor here at Crestwood Prep. We're so excited to have you here today." Tyson shook her hand, trying to smile. "Nice to meet you, Miss Thompson." She led them through the halls, pointing out different rooms, explaining the programs the school offered. Advanced science labs, specialized tutors, extracurricular activities that ranged from debate teams to robotics clubs.
Tyson could feel his head spinning with all the possibilities. It was overwhelming, but it was also exciting. They entered a classroom where a group of students were gathered around a teacher working on a project. The teacher looked up, smiling when he saw Miss Thompson. "And Tyson," Miss Thompson said, her voice full of encouragement, "he'll be joining us soon, and I thought it'd be great for you all to meet him." The students looked up, their expressions curious. One of the boys, tall with dark hair and a friendly smile, stepped forward. "Hey, Tyson, I'm Alex. Nice to meet you." Tyson shook his hand, feeling a little awkward. "Nice to meet you too." Alex smiled, gesturing to the group. "We're just working on a physics project. You want to check it out?" Tyson hesitated, glancing at his mom. She gave him an encouraging nod, and Tyson turned back to Alex. "Yeah, sure." As he walked over to join the group, Tyson felt the tension in his chest begin to loosen. The students began explaining their project, something about forces and momentum, and Tyson found himself getting interested. And soon he was leaning over the table with them, discussing the details. The other students listened, nodding, and even added to his ideas. It was a feeling of belonging he hadn't expected after the classroom visit. M. Thompson led Tyson and his mom to the administration office. There was paperwork to go through, details about the scholarship, information about uniforms and supplies. Tyson listened, trying to absorb it all, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. It was real now. This was going to be his life. When they finally left the building, Tyson and his mom stood on the steps, looking out at the campus. His mom turned to him, her eyes shining with tears. "I'm so proud of you, Tyson," she said, her voice full of emotion. "You're breaking through every barrier they ever put in front of us, Tyson." Tyson nodded, his throat tight. He looked around at the school, at the students walking across the lawn, laughing and talking. For the first time, it didn't feel like something unreachable. It felt like something he was a part of. "I'm ready for this, Mom," Tyson said, his voice filled with determination. "I'm going to make the most of this chance." She smiled, wiping her eyes. "I know you will, sweetheart. I know you will." The following weeks were a blur of preparation. Tyson and his mom worked on getting everything he needed for the new school: uniforms, supplies, textbooks. Mr. Collins had provided them with everything they needed, and it still felt a little surreal. Tyson spent his evenings at the library studying, getting a head start on some of the subjects. He wanted to be ready. He wanted to prove that he belonged there. The day finally came, his first official day at Crestwood Prep. Tyson woke up early, putting on the crisp new blazer and tie. He stood in front of the mirror, adjusting it nervously. He had never worn anything like it before, and it felt strange but also right. His mom stood behind him, her eyes filled with pride. "You look so handsome," she said, her voice cracking a little. "You're going to be amazing, Tyson." He turned to her, giving her a tight hug. "Thanks, Mom. I'm going to do my best." She walked him to the bus stop, hugging him tightly before he got on. Tyson took a deep breath as he found his seat, looking out the window as the bus pulled away. The city passed by, the familiar streets, the towering buildings, and soon they were gone, replaced by the manicured lawns and winding driveways of Crestwood. As he stepped off the bus, Tyson felt a wave of nerves wash over him. He adjusted his backpack, looking around at the students milling about, their uniforms crisp, their voices loud and confident. He walked up the steps, keeping his head high, refusing to let his fear show. The day passed in a whirlwind of classes and introductions. Tyson found himself in a new world. Smaller classrooms, teachers who were attentive, students who were curious and eager to learn. He found that he was being challenged in a way he hadn't been before, and it was thrilling. He listened, he participated, he asked questions, and slowly he began to feel the walls that had always seemed to keep him out begin to crumble. At lunch, Tyson sat down at one of the tables outside, pulling out his lunch. He had barely started eating when Alex, the boy he had met on his first visit, walked over, sitting down beside him. "Hey, Tyson," Alex said, grinning. "Mind if I join you?"
Tyson shook his head. Not at all. Alex opened his lunch, glancing at Tyson. So, how's your first day going? Getting the hang of things? Tyson shrugged. Yeah, it's a lot, but I like it. Alex nodded. Yeah, I bet, but you'll get used to it. And if you need help with anything, just ask. Tyson looked at Alex, feeling a warmth spread through him. He had always been on the outside, looking in, but now he was starting to feel like he belonged. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate that. They ate their lunch, talking about their classes, about their teachers, about what clubs they were interested in. For the first time, Tyson found himself thinking about what he could be a part of. Maybe the debate team, maybe something with science. There were so many opportunities, and he wanted to take advantage of all of them. As the weeks went on, Tyson settled into his new life at Crestwood. He worked hard, studying every night, pushing himself to keep up. It wasn't easy. There were days when he felt overwhelmed, days when he doubted himself, when he wondered if he was really good enough to be there. But every time those thoughts crept in, he remembered his mom's words, remembered the look of pride in her eyes, and he kept going. He started to make friends, Alex, Kayla, a few other kids from his classes. They included him, invited him to study groups, asked him to sit with them at lunch. Tyson had never been part of a group before, but now it felt right. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was thriving. One afternoon, Tyson was sitting in the library working on a science assignment when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked up to see Mr. Collins standing there, a smile on his face. "Tyson," Mr. Collins said, his voice full of warmth. "I was just in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by. How's everything going?" Tyson grinned, setting his pen down. "It's going great, Mr. Collins, better than I could have imagined." Mr. Collins sat down beside him, nodding. "I knew you could do it. I knew you'd make the most of this opportunity." Tyson looked down at his notebook, his heart swelling with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you, without everything you've done for me and my mom." Mr. Collins shook his head. "You earned this, Tyson. You're the one who made it happen. You've got a bright future ahead of you, and I'm just glad I could help in some small way." Tyson smiled, feeling the weight of his words. He thought about where he had been just a few months ago, struggling to keep his head above water, feeling like the world was against him. And now he was here, in a place he never thought he'd be, with people who believed in him, people who saw his potential. As Mr. Collins left, Tyson looked around the library, at the students working quietly, at the books lining the shelves, and he felt a sense of peace settle over him. This was his life now. He had fought for it, and he wasn't going to let anything stand in his way. He pulled his notebook closer, picking up his pen, and began writing again. The future was his, and he was ready to take it on, one step at a time. He had broken through the barriers that had held him back, and now there was nothing he couldn't do. And he